Hi, everyone. I'm Cherish Fenton with I4 Series, and joining me today is Rick Floyd, the Internet Safety Guy. And we're going to be talking to parents about Internet safety because it's Internet Safety Month. And Rick, why is this really important for parents to consider during this pandemic?
I think they need to consider internet safety for their children because more than ever, children are on electronic devices, communicating with friends, hopefully only friends, but who knows who they're communicating with. And they're spending a lot more time on the internet, and they have been since March. So normally, with June being Internet Safety Month, that's the first month kids are out of school. But this year it's more important because they've already spent a lot of time out, and it's going to continue and probably spending more time as the summer goes on.
Great. Well, let's get into your presentation because I know you have a lot of good tips for parents. One thing you and I were talking about, Rick, is that a lot of parents don't know what apps are being downloaded.
Right. So one thing that parents need to do is to monitor your child's cell phone, even just looking at it to know what apps that they have. A lot of parents ask about certain apps, but always tell parents not to focus on one app. You hear a lot more on the news about one versus another, but in reality, the one your child's using is the one that could be the most dangerous for him or her. So as a parent, if you see an app on your child's phone, you can ask them about it, and then you can Google and find out the pros and cons. Find out as much information as you can about the app, and then at that point, decide if you want your child to use it or not.
Great. And then they should be monitoring these apps as well, right?
Yes, they should. We'll talk about monitoring devices, I think, at the end, but in at this point, when they download an app, there's a lot of parental settings and choices that they have. If a
Right.
child downloads it, then it's probably not going to have any settings on it because then the videos are, they'd be limited who they could talk to. So as a parent, I would Google and I put on my Facebook account settings all the time. If I see an app and I want to put something out or a parent asks about it, I'll put the settings out there. But if you Google, we'll take for instance TikTok. Google TikTok and find out the parental settings, how to set them. It walks you step by step to tell you how to set it. It can be as limited as you want it to be, or as wide open as you want it to be.
Okay. Good information. This is a topic that most parents don't want to talk about with their children, but you were telling me that you're seeing younger people involved in sexting.
Yes, sexting is a subject that most parents they don't want to even think about an elementary child sending an inappropriate image or a video. But in reality, you're giving them a device. They are not, they don't think sometimes. They don't think before they post. One wrong image or picture that they send out can change their life forever, and the parents, because that video is out there, they can't get it back. So even if you have children in third, fourth, and fifth grade and they have a cell phone, you need to talk about inappropriate images and what they should share and what they should not share.
Yes, and one thing that you were saying yesterday that was really interesting to me is that what parents don't know is that, one inappropriate image can be used to blackmail the child into more serious crimes or situations, right?
Yes, I I have conversations with middle school students all the time. And one thing they talk about is that once they sent an image out, they have, you know, they've lost control of that image and sometimes what they want or don't want to send out. We've had situations and, not only here in Greenville, but across the nation where a child may send one video out or one image out. And then the other person will say, if you don't send another one, or you don't send another video, or you don't do this, I'm going to send that video or picture out to your friends, to your parents, and I'm going to embarrass you. So they feel like they have to send more out, and they've totally lost control of the situation because of one bad choice.
And so kids need to feel safe to come to their parents and tell them that they've made a mistake, right? Because
Yeah.
um, if they do send out an image and they get in that situation, it could really be dangerous unless they're, feel like they can talk to their parents.
Yes, and when I'm talking to parents, we always talk about having an open dialogue with your child, because I would rather a child to go to a parent than a peer or a friend at school, because they're going to get different advice. So as a parent, I always tell parents, don't freak out, don't yell and scream at your child. Keep it on the inside until they walk away, and then you can do whatever you need to do. But in front of them, if you do that, they're not going to come back to you again. They're going to go to someone else. So you have to stay calm. You can walk through, everything can be taken care of if it's handled properly, and the sooner the better. So let them know they can always come to you,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter what they did. You can get through any situation.
Okay. And then another thing that you were talking about is that you need to explain to your children, what is revealing too much. You can reveal too much personal information,
Yep.
and you can also communicate some inappropriate information that can get you in trouble.
Yes. A lot of parents and a lot of kids too say, well, it's a freedom of speech. I can say what I want. But once you post something on the internet, it's out there forever. Even if you delete it, it's going to be out there. And I've known numerous situations where students have lost a full scholarship because of something they posted on the internet. Maybe it was years ago, but it was something that the school found. And even employers are not hiring students or not hiring potential employees because of something they found on the internet. So you have to think ahead. You have to think about what you're posting before you post it. And remember, it's going to be out there forever. No one knows what they want to be when they get older. Most people don't. It changes many times, and you could limit yourself to employment or even schools just by posting stuff on the internet.
And then location, I think, is important. This is something that I don't think parents think about, and I don't think kids think about is, you know, of course, don't share your address, but if you use certain apps, they can actually reveal your location to potential predators, right?
Yes, we've had that situation too, and I've heard of situations many times where some of the apps, if you download them and leave everything wide open, most of them have a location service on there. And sometimes some of the apps, if you're not reading, you just check the box and agree to the terms, you're allowing that app to share your location anytime you're on that app. So you may not tell that person where you go to school or where you live or where you hang out, but if you go on that app at school or go on that app at home, it could share that information, and anybody on that app could see where you live or where you go to school, whether you know that person or not.
And these people oftentimes are internet predators. And they tell me about the children that they target.
So internet predators, it seems like they're targeting younger and younger students, and it's probably because the younger and younger students on the internet. And sometimes the younger they are, the more naive they are. But when they're targeting these kids, an internet predator may send out like a phishing email. They may send out 100 messages to kids, and one or two respond, and that's all they're expecting to respond. But then they build a relationship. They build their trust. They talk to them on the internet, and these guys are good at building trust with the girls and the boys, depending on their preference. And so you have to be careful when children are talking to people they don't know. Even if they've had a live video conference with them, even if they've had a picture or video or hear a voice, it doesn't mean it's that person on the other end. Anything can be altered, and a lot of times children don't think about that.
So true. This is another big issue across the globe, really, but human trafficking, just a few statistics that we have on the screen there. $150 spent each year. The US is number one in human trafficking, and there was a huge increase in South Carolina last year, and Greenville County's number two. I mean, I would think that this is a fairly safe city, but apparently, human trafficking is exploding here.
Yes, it is, and a lot of the victims are being targeted via the internet because It's easier to target a larger audience via the internet. You're taking a less chance. You're not walking up to somebody and talking to them and scaring them. You're developing a relationship and
Mhm.
talking the children into doing things they normally wouldn't do, or either making promises to them. As a young girl, who does not want to be a model? So if you meet somebody on the internet and they promise you, oh, you could be a model, you're beautiful, then that kind of lets their guard down. They're not thinking about their safety at that point. Little boys are being targeted too. Little boys or younger males are being targeted on gaming consoles like Roblox, Fortnite, where the boys are. So if you have a son or daughter, either one of them could be targeted.
And so with the games, like an Xbox or what have you, the parents need to check into the chats within those games as well.
Yes, or listen, because normally the kids are having a verbal conversation. They normally have headphones on,
Okay.
so parents aren't listening. But I would recommend listening. Ask who the friends are. Ask if they really know them in real life, because I hear so many times from our students I'm talking to, even fourth and fifth graders, my best friend's somebody I play games with every day. But that best friend is not somebody they know. It's somebody they met on the internet.
Well, then what can parents do? Of course, discuss the dangers of meeting someone they met online, but uh, instead of, if they see some questionable behavior or, explicit behavior, you were saying, sure, call the police, but you might want to call this tip line instead. Why is that?
Because the cyber tip line is going to take the information, they know the questions to ask, and they will take that information as little or as much as you have. If
Mm.
you call local law enforcement, you may get in touch with somebody like at the front desk that has no idea what you're talking about, and they may say, well, you don't have enough information to report. The cyber tip line is not going to do that. They're going to take that information because that information is gathered, and you may have the piece of the puzzle that reveals where this person's chatting from. You could be saving your child or someone else's child's life just by reporting. And the good part about the cyber tip line, once it's reported, you're finished. You'll never be contacted by law enforcement. Your child will never have to go to court. So it's reporting it, and then that's it. That's all you have to do.
Great. And uh, talking about some other tips as well for parents. So earlier we talked about the privacy settings, knowing all of your child's friends online, and then establishing rules. What do you think is the most important out of these tips?
I think as a parent, you're obligated to monitor what your children are doing. Don't expect them to make the proper choices at a young age. Your brain's not developed enough to even make the choice. So as a parent, you've got to monitor what they're doing. It was easier when you had a computer and you could sit in a common area and you could watch what they're doing. But now most children are communicating via tablet or a gaming console or a cell phone. So as a parent, I think the best thing to do is install some kind of monitoring device. We talked about Bark, which is a really good one, and I have friends that use that and they're very pleased with it. But you can make your own choice. There's a lot of choices out there, and I would recommend reading, choose what settings you want on each of those apps, see which one works best for you. If it's Bark, they have a great human or customer service. They can walk you through the installation. So, don't feel overwhelmed when you first see it and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. They can walk you through it. So that is an easy install with their help.
And it's affordable too,
Yes.
less than $10 a month, I believe.
Yes, yes, very affordable. And another thing that's free, the cell phone settings. If you have an Apple phone, and I'm sure the other ones too, but an Apple phone has really good parental settings. It allows your children, or allows you to have your children have to come to you to download an app. They can't freely download anything. And in your home environment, the wireless router at your house has a lot of parental settings on it. You can limit time spent on a gaming console, time on a tablet. It doesn't affect the entire network, only the devices that you want. So I would recommend using that. And again, if you are not familiar with it, whoever you bought it from or whoever you rent it from can
Mhm.
set the parental settings for you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all of those good tips. And we are going to post this video on our website along with some additional information, some links to resources for parents. And if you want to take down Rick's contact information, if you have any questions or concerns, you can reach him through email. He's also on Facebook at the Internet Safety Guy. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope all of you have a great day.
Thank you very much.